This is the 20 Minutes of Influence podcast with your host, Greg Jameson. Influencer marketing is the process of identifying, researching, engaging, and supporting the people who create high-impact conversations with your customers. On each episode, I talk with industry leaders, business rock stars, and internet celebrities who contribute their knowledge about influencing others and growing your influence. Welcome to the 20 Minutes of Influence podcast. I'm your host, Greg Jameson, and today I have got a really special treat for you. It is my great pleasure that Guy Kawasaki is my guest today, and there's a lot of things. Probably everybody listening to the podcast already knows who Guy is, but it has been a lot of fun for me over the years to be reading his books. The Rules for Revolutionaries is actually still one of my favorites, but I think he's got more books than I've read, I know, but I've read about 6 or 7 of them, got them on my bookcase. And Guy has been someone who has been around this industry for a long time. We talk about using the power of others to help you market and sell your products. And that's really what Guy's personal brand has been about since the beginning of time. We'll get into a little bit of that.
Not that old.
Since the beginning of our time.
Okay, that's better.
But I'm going to let Guy say more about himself, and then we'll talk about some of those specific things. So welcome, Guy. Really appreciate you being here.
Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, I'm Guy Kawasaki. I am currently the chief evangelist of Canva. Canva is an online graphics design service. I am a podcaster. I have a podcast called Remarkable People, where I interview remarkable people like Jane Goodall, Margaret Atwood, Steve Wozniak, you name it. And finally, I'm a Mercedes-Benz brand ambassador. So I worked at Apple. I was Apple's software evangelist and later chief evangelist. I've also worked at Google too.
Yep. So that's why I really am excited that Guy's here with us today. One of the things that you said that you're doing, which I think is interesting, is you are a brand evangelist for Mercedes.
Yes.
How does one become a brand evangelist? I want a Mercedes too.
Yeah, it only took 40 years. So basically, Mercedes has 2 kinds of brand ambassadors. So one is central from Germany. There are about 10 of us. And then each country can also name their own brand evangelists or brand ambassadors. So I'm the central one. The other people who are in that same group are people like Michael Horn, an explorer, Roger Federer, tennis player, the first female Formula One driver. And when we represent Mercedes, we can go anywhere in the world. Then each country can also name their own brand ambassador. Garrett McNamara is also a brand ambassador from Germany, the big wave surfer. So I think the thinking is that, you know, my hero, big wave surfer Garrett McNamara drives a Mercedes, I'll drive a Mercedes. Or my hero, Roger Federer, great tennis player, drives a Mercedes, I'll drive a Mercedes. And hopefully for some people, Guy Kawasaki drives a Mercedes, I'll drive a Mercedes. So it's good work if you can get it.
Yeah, and obviously that's really what being an influencer is all about, kind of taken to the next level.
I'm trying, but you know what? I mean, I don't want to burst anybody's bubble, but the concept that, you know, influencers have millions of followers and they tell you to go buy a book, buy some lipstick, eat at this place, buy a Mercedes, and instantly, you know, sales go through the roof. Maybe it's true with some influencers, but it's not true with me, and I don't think it's true for most people. It is not as easy as people think.
I think that's a good observation and something that people should probably be aware of, especially if they are a business that's trying to work with an influencer. It's just because you signed up Guy Kawasaki doesn't mean that he's going to send you millions of dollars worth of business overnight.
If it were that easy, I would charge more. But no, you could be Kim Kardashian. If Kim Kardashian says, buy this kind of lipstick, I believe that. But I don't know if Kim Kardashian said, use Amazon Web Services. Not clear to me that everybody's going to start going to Amazon Web Services.
Yeah, at the same time, though, even though that's true, obviously there's a reason why companies like Mercedes would hire someone like you to be their brand ambassador, and why even on a much lower level, I've had companies approach me and say things like, hey, would you use this particular microphone on your podcast? Because they do get something out of it. And there's something certainly to be said
Yes.
when a third party is endorsing you and saying, I really like this product, as opposed to the business owner saying, I really like my product.
What kind of microphone is that, by the way, so we can plug your sponsor here?
It is called a Maaco, M-A-A-C-O.
Okay.
And yeah, they sent it to me and said, hey, would you be able to use this? And I was like, sure.
Well, let's just dispel some thoughts about marketing. So, like people think of marketing as $25 million Super Bowl commercials, but yeah, that's like 10 standard deviations from most people's marketing. And so I don't know, what did that microphone cost at retail? $150? What did it cost them to make it? $30?
Exactly.
So, right. So, and they ship it to you, that costs $10. So let's say it's $50. So for $50, one could make the case, if you get 5 people to buy that, that scales, right? I mean, you'd give away 30 to make 750 gross anyway. You'd give away, so let's say it costs 50, but you gross 750. You would do that all day long. So if you pay Kim Kardashian $2 million to sell your lipstick, and she says to people, use her lipstick, and $25 million of lipstick sales come in, wow, you do that all day long. I mean, that scales.
And I think the other thing that happens with it, if we think back to like your time with being the chief evangelist for Macintosh, is that, yeah, you reached so many people and telling them that you really loved the Mac and so forth, but all of those people then would turn around and tell people that as well.
Well, you hope. I mean, this was back in the mid 80s, right? So there was a lot less noise, and there were fewer quote unquote brand ambassadors and evangelists. There was kind of a 2,000-year gap between Jesus and software evangelism at Apple. So that was different times. I will tell you, though, 2 keys to evangelism. The first is that the product has to be great, because I don't care who you are. If you're evangelizing crap, it ain't going to work. So I call this Guy's golden touch, which is whatever's gold Guy touches. So I can evangelize Macintosh, I can evangelize Canva, I can evangelize Mercedes, because that's good stuff. If I told people to buy a piece of crap, it doesn't matter if I said it, it won't work. So that's very important for people to understand, that a brand ambassador cannot put lipstick on a pig. It'll still be a pig.
Yeah, that's something that business is hoping to work with brand ambassadors really obviously need to understand, is that they need to have a great product or service in the first place.
Well, and truly, to really work, the brand ambassador has to truly love what the product does, right? So I love what Canva does. I love what Macintosh does. I love my Mercedes. Well, listen, when you see an advertising for Shaquille O'Neal advertising, hot and cold athletic injury packs, it's you really think he uses that hot and cold pack? Or here's the better one. Seriously, do you think Matthew McConaughey drives a Lincoln? Like,
I don't know.
Maybe he drives a Lincoln because he has to, but I don't think if Matthew McConaughey woke up one day and said, I'm going to today, Lincoln, that's a little bit of a stretch, I think.
Maybe, but maybe he likes it. I don't.
Maybe. God bless him. God bless him.
Lincolns, they're big cars. they're comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's go a little bit different direction here. You got any good stories that you can tell us about your time at Apple, and specifically about Steve Jobs and what it was
Sure.
like working for him?
So my best job story is that one day I'm working in my cubicle. He shows up with someone I've never met before. And he asked me what I thought of this product and this company. And I basically tell him it's a mediocre product, mediocre company, doesn't matter to us. And then he says to me, I want you to meet the CEO of the company. So, you had to pass the Steve Jobs test every day. Every day you were on the firing line.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. It was like best days of my life.
Okay, so we've talked about 3 of the companies that we know that you have been associated with in your career. The most recent one is probably Canva.
Yes.
Tell us and our listeners here a little bit about Canva and what brought you to
Sure.
that.
So Canva is based in Sydney, Australia, in the online graphics design service. So imagine you are, let's say you're in a small company and you want to make graphics. You need to make graphics for social media, business card, presentation, flyer, whatever it is. So theoretically you could go and rent Photoshop. You could spend about 6 months learning it and you would create a flyer. Or you could use an outside design firm and submit RFPs, get bids, communicate with them, blah blah blah, and pay $5,000 for a flyer. Or you could just join Canva, and Canva has hundreds of design types. And a design type is something like a book cover, a business card, a flyer, a brochure, a resume, Instagram picture, Pinterest, Etsy, Twitter, Facebook, all the standard types. And there are hundreds of standard types. Then within each type, there are templates that are already built. And all you have to do is change the picture, or change the text. So literally, you could build a very good looking graphic in 5 minutes. And I'm exaggerating high, 5 minutes. And so if you're tired of waiting for your graphics department to, make a graphic for you, or if you're tired of trying to figure out high-end software and you just want to oh my God, I just want to make a flyer for the kids PTA, I don't want to learn Photoshop for that. Canva is it, baby.
Yeah, I have used Canva a number of times for making infographics myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's interesting on your podcast, you have your little bullet point questions at the end of the thing, and you ask people, Canva or Photoshop? And it's like, they're really 2 different products for 2 different reasons.
Yes.
I'm not sure it's an either or.
Well, I mean, think of Canva as Photoshop for the rest of us.
Yeah. Okay, great. Well, let's take a quick break. And on the other side of the break, let's talk a little bit more about actually being someone that can influence sales for other people. One of the things that I wrote about in my book was about the things that Amazon had done in terms of getting people to be affiliates for them and kind of having other people promote products for you. That's clearly what Guy is all about. So let's talk a little bit more about that on the other side of the break. Hi, I'm Greg Jameson, the host of the 20 Minutes of Influence podcast. Every week, I not only have the opportunity, but the real privilege of interviewing experts in their field, true thought leaders, and I get to share this information with you. The purpose of this is really to help you sell more of your products and services online, which is the core premise of my primary business, Web Stores Limited. At Web Stores, we go out and we create e-commerce websites for small businesses. Plus, we do internet marketing and digital advertising for those businesses to really help them sell more online.
We have a whole number of resources and tools designed to help make this process easier for businesses, probably much like yours. I've been the author of several #1 best-selling books, including Amazon's Dirty Little Secrets and The Influencer Effect, plus a whole series of online courses if you want to learn how to do this stuff yourself. The best way to remain in contact with me, besides subscribing to this podcast, of course, is to simply go to gregjameson.com/free gift, where I have a special offer for you simply because you are a valued listener to this podcast. Thanks again, and now let's get back to today's episode.
Welcome back to the 20 Minutes of Influence podcast. I hope you're enjoying today as much as I am. My guest is Guy Kawasaki, and right before the break, I was asking Guy about basically how companies can utilize other people to help them market and sell their products, whether they be a brand evangelist or whether they are utilizing an affiliate program or any other method of kind of getting other people to use word of mouth to share their stories with people. So give us your thoughts on that, Guy.
Well, my thought is, as I said earlier, that the key, 80% of it is having a great product. If you have a great product, you won't be able to stop people from talking about it. And if you have a crap product, you will have a very hard time trying to get anybody to talk about it in a positive way anyway. So the key is a great product. You start there. And if you get a great product with people who truly believe in it, arguably all you have to do is get the hell out of their way. So, to use an automotive example, think of all the people who own Teslas and love them and tell you to buy a Tesla, right? I mean, they're not getting paid. They're not, and there's no formal relationship with Tesla. Think of all the people who've probably told you to buy a Macintosh or an iPhone. Also, not employees, not stockholders. So evangelism, the purity of evangelism is that an evangelist has the other person's best interest at heart. Maybe not only the other person's best interest, but that is a huge component. Whereas sales is more about, I need to show me the money. I need to make my quota, my commission, my bonus. So, I don't think many salespeople have the other person's best interests at heart. They have their best interests at heart. And that's the fundamental difference between evangelism and sales.
Yeah, so obviously customers make the best evangelists because they've already gone out and bought the product and they're happy with it and they're telling people about it. Mm-hmm. Is there a good way to identify who those customers are, though, and maybe bring them into a more formal relationship with the company?
Well, my experience is that you can't shut those people up. So I mean, if you're on social media and you post something about Canva, or when I am on social media and I post something about Canva and there's 75 comments, I mean, you can tell who the true believers are, and it's, then it's very easy to select those people. So I would say that evangelists rise to the top and they almost beat your door down. I don't think you need to, necessarily go get them. You get them in the door. And I have mixed emotions about, formalizing the relationship and paying people because, not that I'm not paid, but when you do that, it introduces an interesting dynamic. So some of the complexities of this dynamic are, okay, so let's say I don't work for Apple or I don't work for Canva or whatever, and I tell you to use Canva, Greg. I think, listen, Greg, for your podcast, album cover, for your whatever, you should use Canva. I'm a true Canva believer, and I'm telling you, and I'm helping you and all that, right? Now, let's say Canva reaches out to me and says, okay, Guy, we're going to pay you for every affiliate who clicks on this link or whatever. Well, now when well, a really reputable person, a really honest person will tell you, Greg, you should use Canva to make all your graphics. But let me be upfront. I am a paid brand evangelist. I'm a paid brand ambassador. I think that changes the dynamic right there. So in your mind, you're thinking, well, is it because he's paid or is it because he truly believes? And that is a legitimate question. I would also make the case that in the mind of the evangelist, an introspective evangelist, a thoughtful evangelist would be asking himself or herself, am I telling Greg to use Canva because I truly believe, or am I telling Greg to use Canva because I'm paid to tell people to use Canva? And so paying evangelists is not necessarily a good idea for both of you. It's, you know, it's purer if I happen to be a person who loves Canva and I'm telling you, Greg, use Canva. I have no economic, you know, stake in this company at all. I'm just telling you, trust me, Greg, use Canva. I think that's more powerful.
I would agree it is. It seems like if you find the people that are your true evangelists like that, though, that you want to somehow bring them into the fold, whether it be given
Yes,
new releases
but
of the stuff ahead
yes.
of people, or you know,
Well, but you know, there are other ways than money, right? So you can create a, I don't know if you use Facebook anymore because of all the stuff that's going on, but you know, a hypothetical social media group that's by invitation only, and those people in there, they get different level of information about what's coming. They get different level of tech support. Maybe they get Canva t-shirts and Canva, you know, writing tablets and Canva bags and, you know, Canva whatever. So I'm not saying you shouldn't be nice to people and give them stuff and take care of them. I'm just saying when it gets to be a kind of bounty hunter thing, that's when it gets tricky.
yeah, I totally get what you're saying. Let me ask you another somewhat hypothetical question, and that is people that are launching new products and they sign up a bunch of JV partners ahead of time to go
Mm-hmm.
out there and help them release their product.
Yep.
And those JV partners for digital products in particular, they're usually getting a large chunk of money to do that.
Yeah.
So
Well,
what's the dynamic there? And is that a good thing for a company to be doing when they launch a product?
I mean, if it's Kim Kardashian and she's selling 25 million bucks of lipstick, yeah. I mean, uh, I I'm not saying people should not pay brand ambassadors. I mean, Mercedes lets me pick any Mercedes I want. So, okay, so you know, I have to report that as income. That's income. That's real money. But I'm not saying you should never do anything like that. I'm just saying that just keep in the back of their mind that it's not as simple as I can buy good brand ambassadors. And I would also make an argument, Greg, that if somebody contacts you and says, you know what, I will use your microphone if you give me one and you give me an affiliate link and you pay me X per month, I would probably turn that person down, because I think that that person, if I turn them down, would go to Yeti or would go to anybody else and give them the. So it's not like they believe in my microphone. It's just that they are a hired gun. And I don't know, that's not evangelism.
I agree, it's not. So now we've got this small business owner here still that
Mm-hmm.
is trying to break into the
Yep.
next level, and they're trying to use people to really implement to help them sell their products.
Mm-hmm.
So t-shirts, I agree, are a fantastic way of doing that. I've always used t-shirts and giving people pre-release products and so
Mm-hmm.
forth. What is it that a small business owner should be doing to kind of get to that point where people
Well,
want to be promoting them?
well, uh, you know, I don't want to seem like I'm senile and repeat my, but make a good product. I mean, duh. I mean, you know, if you're a restaurant owner and you want people to talk about you and tell people to eat there, well, duh, you know, make good food. There's your marketing. Make good food. Make good shit. That's all it takes. And I sort of got that's 80 or 90% of it. The other 10% is, yeah, you know, put in a program, make them feel special, show gratitude, you know, all that kind of stuff. But it starts with a great product. And I don't care if you sell socks or you sell, you know, ramen or sandbags for weightlifting. I mean, that's the start of it.
All right. We all heard it here, guys. Straight from Guy's mouth. Make good shit and it'll all work.
Well, I wish it was that easy. That's why it's easier to be the podcast guest than the CEO. Trust me.
I hear you. Any kind of final words of wisdom that you want to leave our listeners with?
You know, I hope one final word of wisdom is I would like people to check out my podcast because it's called Remarkable, and you can get onto it at remarkablepeople.com concept, right? And it's a series of interviews where I do about 5% of the talking and the guest does 95% of the talking. And it truly is a collection of remarkable people. Jane Goodall, Margaret Atwood, Andrew Yang, Steve Wolfram, Steven Pinker, Roy Yamaguchi, Roy's Restaurant, Yamaguchi, figure skater. And they talk about their lives and how they became remarkable. So, yeah, and in particular for business owners, the episodes they should listen to is Steven Pinker, who's the godfather of branding, and Bob Cialdini, the godfather of influence. Those three podcasts would make your purchase worth it's free. So,
and I'll vouch for it. I've been listening to Guy's podcast here.
See, I'm not paying that.
Exactly. So that's great. So that's where we want people to go is to remarkablepeople.com then.
Yep.
So appreciate your time here today, Guy. It's been a lot of fun.
If I ever decide to build a log cabin, you are going to be the first person I call.
Awesome. You know, I had a guest on here recently that said that if I was ever where he was, and I think he was in Tampa, he's like, make sure you look me up because I'm want to take you to lunch. And I was like, well, the reverse is true too, you know. And one of the things
where are you?
I'm about halfway between Denver and Colorado Springs.
Oh.
So
I haven't been there.
Yeah. Well, and so what my other guests said of making an offer here, and I'll make it to you too. If you ever come out here, not only will I buy you lunch, but I'll give you the tour of the log house.
Pretty great. All righty. You take care, Greg.
Thanks a lot.
Stay safe. Stay healthy. Bye.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of 20 Minutes of Influence. If you enjoyed today's podcast, please leave a review on iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you are interested in booking myself as a speaker at one of your events or are interested in any of my coaching programs, please visit gregjameson.com.